about like 6 months to a year that hardcore was just hardcore prime in Minnesota. And after about that year and a half thrust, you know, everybody was tired of it and splintered off into a million different directions.
People were just like done with that formula because it became a formula. At first it was like everyone stumbling into this room and being into the same idea, but after a while it just kind of petered out.
But you know, all music becomes shitty, doesn't it? After a little while, it gets played out and it's stupid and it's boring, and you know, so we liked that music for, you know, a couple of years, and we were deeply committed to that music, but then, Jesus, you think, the rest of you are fucking assholes, I'm out.
It goes like this, you know, and then and it's like everybody's wearing a mohawk, and then they're not, and then some dude grows his hair out, and then everybody else does. It just was this morphing second wave of punk rock.
In the beginning, the promise of hardcore was it could be anything.
We all considered ourselves punk rock hardcore, but it's not what you think of as hardcore, because not every band was trying to play as fast as they can with a skinhead and sound like, I'm a hardcore band.
Hardcore at that point in time wasn't solidified into a generic block. It was still forming, so you could have bizarre creativity going on, which was, to me, was incredible. The Meat Puppets showing up was a hardcore band. It sounded like the Germs meet Captain Beefheart, you know, it was insane. It was like trying to wrap your head around it was a trip, but that was hardcore.
It felt like punk rock gave everybody license to do whatever. For me, the formula was that there's no formula. And that's what was exciting to me. We were doing noise before there was anyone to copy, that's for sure. There was no one doing what we did, especially to not tune, you know? And that was the deal, was like, well, I didn't know how, and I didn't care. It was like getting a box of paints. You know, like, you don't know how to paint. So, but are you gonna not paint? Fuck no, you're gonna paint. And that's what we did. We made noise. I remember how hard it was for us to break into the scene. So we played with Corrosion of Conformity. I mean, we fucking opened for DRI. And it was an all-ages show in the main room. Fuck, dude, I almost died at that show. Get the fuck off the stage. Like, you're out of tune, you're not playing hardcore. Like, we're here for DRI.
It starts out as a small scene and builds, and then becomes kind of almost, it feels like almost like a trap.
We must have rules and more rules, and you're not hardcore and all. That's not at 140 beats per minute. You are officially not hardcore, which literally started happening through the genius of maximum rock and roll.
Maximum Rock and Roll came along and kind of put a stamp on it and go, this is hardcore.
And totally like stagnated the creativity and turned it into a dead end.
So when that stuff happened, when I started to feel pushback about how we didn't fit, to me, that was disappointing. That was even a little heartbreaking.
The quickest way to get a punk to do something is to tell him he can't.
All right, don't cross this line. This is bad juju. And you're like, okay, I'm crossing that line. I'm doing that bad juju. It was a total reaction to like, okay, now this is getting stale. And this is where it's funny to think back now because you're talking about a year and a half. That stuff's so over. It's over.
The thing that we started relating to was garage music, you know? I mean, things that were happening in the 60s, it was DIY, it was do-it-yourself. We were identifying with that. And so we started playing more psychedelic influenced music, you know?
You know, we were throwing in weird dashes of Blue Cheer's first record and Hendrix and messing around with other stuff that we loved, weird post-punk things. I mean, this was great because it was like mixing it up and allowing people to kind of step out of their predetermined roles.
Tom wanted to do Blue Cheer songs, so I turned him on to Blue Cheer. Probably the first noise metal band from 1967.
I've been sitting over here in a park bomb.
And they asked, hey, Dale, do you know the words to that song? I went, yeah. Do you also know the words to Fire by Jimi Hendrix? I went, yeah. Can you come sing it with us at practice? Sure. Never sang a note in my life.
Thinking we were going to an Otto's Chemical Lounge show, which was the weirdest thing I ever experienced because the feedback was just grinding into my head, and I was just like, I don't know if this is okay. Like, maybe we made the wrong decision. And this fucking kid wailing, and just feedback. This Hobbit. I love that guy. I love that guy right away. Like, I was like, he was older, but I loved him. He was nasty.
There was like a lot of hardcore bands that all of a sudden, overnight, were just like, that's it, we're done. We're doing metal, we're doing, you know, post-punk, art damage, you know, whatever it was, you saw a lot of people getting out of that particular fry pan.
As far as like hardcore itself, yeah, I mean, I think it became a blind alley really, really fast.
It became generic, you know, and you could go to Cleveland, you could go to Dayton, Ohio, and there'd be a band just like that there.
That's kind of what it's about, is being limiting, you know. It's like being, well, this little world of like, yeah, this is the only thing, shit that's good, man, all that other shit sucks. Yeah. Well, okay, well.
I basically just got bored with hardcore. I got tired of living, breathing, drawing, working, promoting hardcore music. I think for the most part I overdosed and then just got burnt and wanted to move on to something different.
The people I admired and the people I respected were all just kind of moving on to doing different things.
All of us that were into that back then, you know, our tastes matured. Expanded, moved, and you move on, or you become stagnant.
Like a year later, somebody played me Kill 'Em All by Metallica, and I was like, oh my God, these things have more in common than I thought they did, or than I thought they would.
And then bands like from the hardcore scene, like DRI, for example, or Corrosion of Conformity segued over, and they became crossover bands where it's like melding the hardcore with the metal aspects.
punk really exploded in the mid to late 90s. It was actually kind of dizzying to those of us who'd been around in the 80s when bands like The Offspring and Rancid and stuff blew up, and there was this whole next level of commercial punk that we had never imagined because we thought punk was so uncommercial.
Hardcore has to be aggressive, and once you start polishing that, it just becomes another rock band.
Now granted, you listen to that music and it is pretty commercial. It's what we called mall punk, because we were into this hardcore stuff that was more intense.
A few years ago, I was watching Green Day get accepted into RockNRoll Hall of Fame. I'm like, how did they make it before the Dead Kennedys? How come the Circle Jerks? How come the Bad Brains and all that? How come these guys aren't in the RockNRoll Hall of Fame?
You know, I remember watching my TV and seeing Bill Clinton on the lawn of the White House with the Pirner and the guys from Soul Asylum, all his arms around him. I thought, what the hell's going on in this world, man? This is like bizarro world. Aren't those guys from Loud Fast Rules?
At that time, you have no idea that you're a part of something that's going to have legs 25 years later, 30 years later, that people are still going to want to hear about and talk about. I had no idea. I thought every town would be like Minneapolis.
It just is like anything else, though. I mean, Social Distortion play fucking 2 weeks at the House of Blues in Orange County, and every night sold out months in advance. I mean, it's a validation, and I think it goes a long way just to kind of prove that all of us that were passionate about it to begin with were on to something, that we were right in the first place.
By the time it got really popular, it just became another one of those things that someone's doing it in an R.E.M. video and it's just everywhere, and then it kind of loses its charm. And then you just got every jerk off in the audience jumping off the stage and landing on his head, and it's just nothing.
Hey, kids, rock and roll. Nobody tells you where to go.
When that fucking R.E.M. video came out where everybody body surfs and stuff, so that happened for like that week or month that was out. It was like everybody wanted to do that.
You only have to meet one guy that's in the audience wearing a halo because he did a stage dive and nobody caught him, and now he's like, I got a broken neck.
What if you did? What if you walked? What if you tried to get on, baby? Hey, kids, where are you?
I'm certainly glad that I'm not playing Bob Seger records when I want to become reflective, about things, I will still play Discharge.
When the better comes down, the fucking dying. You don't want to know your future, bro. You never stop. Think about now. When the better comes down, the fucking dying.